Good morning, Kansas City. Welcome to another fun episode of Life After KCPS. I am Chris Odom, and I'm excited to have with me this morning Felix Mall, a student who I knew in the past at Paseo Academy. In fact, you might recognize his design even on my shoulders here. And I'm pretty hype and excited. He's wearing the same design. And maybe a first for me on one of these interviews to actually have already purchased the gear before having this talk. I've been doing that a little bit lately because it's just fantastic to see what the artists are going out and doing after I haven't seen them in so long. So this morning we're joined by a really awesome artist, and look at he's surrounded by the color that he's probably starting to be known for. And I know I've seen his work, and a lot of that kind of keeps, showing up, a lot of this color. So you want to start there? Like, we want to hear about your path, but what's up with all this color?
I'm glad you asked about that. Color for a long time, I just didn't want things to be so monotone. I just always wanted to express the brightness of it all. I remember even when still at Paseo, we were surrounded by, our major colors. Everybody had a sign color, and it was just always like a rainbow of things. And I think that's kind of where it started. My junior year, I got to design the yearbook cover, and it was rainbows. I put rain because I just couldn't settle on one color. I like all colors.
Fantastic. Yeah, I'm feeling it, man. Like, I don't think I've worn a shirt with this much color in a while. And I even post, this out there for people to see today, and people are like, man, can I have one of them? Where do I get that? So it's really cool. And you don't necessarily see this much color on everybody walking around. So
most definitely.
I appreciate that so much. So tell us, what year did you graduate from that fine institution, Paseo Academy?
Oh, it was many moon. No, it was 2015. So not that long ago.
Not terribly long ago. Five, 6 years ago.
Yeah.
All right. So tell us a little bit about your path since then, and kind of, what's been keeping you busy, and how have you known what you're supposed to do after high school with yourself?
Well, yeah. Thanks to Paseo and Hallmark, I was able to attend the Kansas City Art Institute with the Make Your Mark scholarship. That was I always kind of knew I wanted to do art. So I just knew I needed to be in a place. I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. At Paseo, they gave me so many opportunities to test out the different things that I was interested in, whether that be ceramics, painting, graphic design, yearbook design, photography, any of those mediums. And I became like a jack of all trades, master of none. And then I kind of was thrown into the same environment my freshman year at the Art Institute. And again, getting to experiment with all kinds of different things, but I kept gravitating toward graphic design and painting. So, but funny enough, I ended up doing filmmaking at the Art Institute. And I think that was mainly because I felt like I had a grasp on, again, graphic design and painting a little bit, to where I didn't want to do it to the point where I got sick of it. So being able to do filmmaking, I was always interested in cameras and stuff like that, but being able to jump headfirst into something that I was not so familiar with. And that kind of helped me forge my way to becoming this painter who did stuff in his spare time and graphic design in his spare time. And then I just decided I really enjoy doing this the most. Mm-hmm. So that's where I'm at right now.
That's really cool. Yeah, I like that. I think that's important, to make sure the thing you love stays the thing you love. And sometimes in school you can feel that it's kind of pulling at you and turning it into something you never wanted it to be, or whatever. Yeah, that's really cool. So that's important, young people out there listening, for what you're paying attention to when you decide to sink your teeth into it. Like, sometimes what you love might turn into, I don't know, an everyday grind. And there are things that are like that. That I know one person that's really near and dear to me is a graphic designer. And so she does that all day, every day, all the time. And So you don't do what you're surrounded by behind you for your main gig, or like, is this somewhat becoming part of your main gig? Tell me about that.
We're definitely moving toward, wanting to do this full time. Right now, I am at Arts Tech. I'm the arts coordinator, so I teach a little bit of art. We run programming and do whatever is necessary to make sure that we give kids the same opportunity that a place like Paseo could give. Having them experiment with all kinds of different things and trying out different opportunities.
Yeah. So tell me about that for a minute, because that's really special to me too. What makes you want to work in that area? Like, other people listening might, want to also, but what could you tell them attracted you to working in an area that helps other people?
Definitely the people who I met in my life who could be doing completely different things, but they decided to take the time and develop people, either way younger than them, or people who just needed a shot, somebody who needed a lens into the right path. Like, I'm not even going to say the right path, but the lens down a path that they might not necessarily have chosen. So I always want to be able to try to show people that all their options. And I think that you'll hear that a lot. It's just, I want people to experience things the way I did, in the sense that I had a lot of time to experiment,
Yeah. All right. That's fantastic. And I can see where, like, what I'm wearing and what you're wearing is, man, they're getting to the level of marketability, right? Like, are you realizing that might be something you need to think about, or are you ready for that if some of this stuff starts to catch on?
I've been debating on it for quite a while, only because for a lot of people, it's how do I say, it's an investment that a lot of people aren't ready to make. And then through these tools that I found doing my own research, I found a way to be able to comfortably like test the waters and dip my toes in things. And now it's to a point where I'm ready to go full force, but I have to set up, finish setting up my website. I have to finish setting up just a few key areas that'll ensure, success if I, commit to it.
Yeah, that's really cool. I think because then when the moment comes and things start to happen, you've got to be ready to go.
You have to.
Right? Like, yeah, there's
first impressions are not everything, but they are important.
Sure, it's very cool. Well, hey, it lived up to my hopes, man. Like, I can't wait to run into, like, when we get to go to a show or we get to actually end up somewhere in public. I can imagine people would notice again, like, where'd you get that, and where can I get one? And right, it's
exclusive.
That's really fun. So, tell me something to kind of go out on here. Is that, these are the hardest things to bring to a close, and people, I think, are starting to watch them more. So if you liked this episode, there's lots of these kind of shows and interviews that I have also done with other artists and graduates of Kansas City Public Schools. I think we're up to about 30 or so interviews right now, and I'm extremely proud and honored to have anything to do with hearing from these young people who are now out in the community again and again and again. So my dream would be that people, even who haven't seen each other, could watch each other's interviews and then eventually we'll all get back together one of these days and have some kind of an event. So it'll be called Life After KCPS, right? And if people who are watching, I think that's an event that I don't think there is life just after KCPS. It's like KCPS never leaves you. And so life is still after KCPS, but it's still within you when you're here. I'm still a graduate of this place. I'm still so proud of that every day. And I work for KCPS. So it's kind of a neat treat and a fun thing to do, to spread the word about what it means to be from our school district, because that is really what we need to do so other people don't do it for us. Tell me about your pride a little bit in being from Kansas City Public Schools. What does that ring true in you?
Well, Kansas City Kansas City was where I was born and raised. I spent my summers in Arkansas, but this was where I grew up. This is where I learned everything. And I think this is such a unique place that gets overlooked most of the time. And so I have to share it because there's so many creative people and things that have emerged here that like most people don't know about.
Fantastic. All right, Kansas City. It's a treat to have these conversations for me, and I hope it has been for you. If you'd like to learn more about this show, again, it's called Life After KCPS. If you'd like to learn more about my guest today, his name is Felix Mall. You can find him, on a lot of social media. Last name's Maull.
That's Felix Mall.
Right? And I think that'll help you find him. Again, let him know you like these shirts. I think that's kind of a good way out there in the community to support each other and, let each other know how important the work of artists continues to be, and how much that really breathes the life back into what we do every day. So thank you so much for, deciding that path and working so hard to make this wonderful art and then coming on here and sharing with us today. It's been my pleasure, Kansas City, to have you on here this morning too. So right now we're signing off and saying, have a great day.
All right. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. Good morning, Kansas City. Welcome to another fantastic day out there. I hope you're having a great day. This is another episode of Life After KCPS on Real World Learning Friday. My name is Chris Odom, and I am joined again this morning by another person that I got to work with back in the old days. Back in the day when we were young, we're not kids anymore. But some days we sit and wish we were kids again, right? Since I went there, let's just go all the way there. I love that song. I'm joined by Eric Tolliver. Welcome, sir.
Well, thank you.
So Eric's telling me here that he came out of that other school that I know in this district so well since I worked there a while, Paseo Academy, in 2011. That's right, correct?
Yes.
And I remember him very well, participant in an awful lot of things in the school. Was on the stage sometimes doing some public speaking, doing some poetry. So just really want to rewind and revisit and find out what Eric's been up to, what his path has turned into, and how he knew to find it. In case you're watching out there, that's kind of the purpose behind these shows, as we've done quite a few, is to advertise some options and some chances for you to think kind of about your own possible path. And think through maybe somebody else's experience of, is that even an option for something you might consider? So, Eric, wind it back for me, man. You're coming out of Paseo in 2011. What happened after that?
Let's see what happened after I walked across the stage. Well, I started pursuing my bachelor's degree in theater and film. That fall from Missouri Western State University, and I graduated from there December 2017. I walked in the spring, but graduated in December because I only had one class left to take. And so graduated there, was very involved on the campus. From everything from student government to the Black Student Union to pledged a couple of fraternities on campus, helped restarted the NAACP on the campus, and then helped jumpstart the first scholarship for students of color on the campus. So I did a lot while I was at Missouri Western in the 5 or 6 years I was there, and it was kind of a struggle being a first generation college student. So that was an accomplishment for me, being the first one in my family to graduate from college. So I didn't have my family couldn't tell me about applying for scholarships. Thankfully, I had the staff at Paseo to kind of help me out with that. And even then I could they were still a support system while I was at Missouri Western, because I felt lost. Like I didn't know who to go to for, hey, I never did this before. So what do I do? You know, but since graduating from Missouri Western, of course, a degree in theater is not what most people do. But so I've done a couple of shows. I've done one show since um, graduating from Missouri Western, which was actually during this pandemic. It was a virtual show, uh, and and also I'm working as an environmental service technician at Truman Medical Center. Started right at the beginning of the pandemic. So that's it so far for me. And working on a book that details my life in college. Um, and also a podcast to talk about anything.
Right on. You say that's all for me. Like you're not doing a lot. I don't believe that. Take me back into, like you said it real quick, like we even know what it is, but what does an environmental service technician do?
Okay, so environmental service, or EVS for short, is the hospital workers who clean up. They basically are responsible for cleaning the entire hospital, from the patient rooms to, you know, the CEO's office. Any cleaning that has to be done in the hospital. That's what environmental service does. Some hospitals call it housekeeping, but it's the same thing.
I see. Okay. Thanks for explaining. I was left in the dust a little bit on that one. So that's important work and something that definitely takes, I guess, your own mental strength. You know, you probably
Yes.
see and experience things in the life of a hospital worker that are hard on you. Is that true?
Yes, it can be.
Okay. So,
Because
but
some days we are short staffed, so we have to step up because we
absolutely.
may only have half of the staff to work with in that day.
Wow. Well, appreciate you for what you're doing. My sister's a nurse and works in the city, and I hear her stories, and I'm just aware that I'm probably not the right person to be in there doing some of these things. I would be immediately queasy or worried, or I bet that's a hard hump to get over the top of, and just know that you provide such an important service. So again, appreciate you for that kind of powerful work that you're doing there in an important place in the hospital, especially during all this concern. So you've been in there during the pandemic?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right at the beginning.
Wow. What's that been like, since not everybody's had a view that?
It's stressful at times, but even before the pandemic, a job of that magnitude could be stressful.
Mm-hmm.
I've worked everywhere from the clinic areas to regular patient rooms to the OR, the emergency room. So, and just because we see it on like those hospital shows, but just being there and actually seeing a trauma come in and that person not make it, it's kind of heartbreaking.
Yeah, I imagine. Okay. Well, thanks for taking us into it. I know it's an important job, and I think people in the community certainly respect what you're doing. And I guess here we are kind of talking about it in a community television show. So think about for a moment, I suppose, letting us in on some of your other projects. You said you're writing a book, right?
Yes.
And you're probably still pursuing things like theater. What are some of your goals, or what's behind wanting to keep that part of you alive and kicking?
Because I say theater because I actually, for the first time before I graduated from Missouri Western, my professors were always telling me to get on the audition and get on the stage. So I just said, well, let me audition, not thinking I'm gonna be cast in the show. And then when I auditioned, got cast. So I said, okay, I kind of do like acting. They said, yeah, we know, because in acting class, that's where you belong, not behind the scenes where you're most comfortable. Step out of your comfort zone. Like you used to tell us in creative writing class, step out of our comfort zone. Um, and that's when I started to enjoy it. So, but I haven't done much theater except for the one show during this pandemic. So
I see. But your goals are still to get in there a little bit and really
yeah,
fully actualize what that feels like. That's awesome.
yes,
I love it.
and possibly move, maybe to, New York or LA to pursue it further.
Gotcha. All right. You never know, right? It's amazing who you meet or what one gig will lead to another, or a casting or something that you might be surprised that, you fit the role for. So go for it, man. That's exciting. And I'm proud and excited to hear that you learned some of those lessons back practicing in the day-to-day life at Paseo. You're also saying, I think, that Paseo was a special place to you, or you felt kind of, I don't know, I sure do. I spent 16 years there. But what do you remember about that place that helps you feel what you're doing today?
Um, even the middle school, which is not there anymore, because I went
It's all
Paseo
one.
from
It's all one building now. They're all in the same
yeah,
team.
yeah, from sixth grade on to 12th grade. Paseo has had a special place in my heart because it helped me get out of that comfort zone and use the arts to express myself. Because even outside of writing, I never thought I would like theater or being on the stage until I started performing in coffee house and plays. Said I like this even more than I do writing.
Mm-hmm.
So, or just as much.
Yeah. What do you, since you went there, what do you think it is that you like more about it?
I like the connecting with the character, or as far as theater goes, connecting with the character and helping that, being able to shape that own character as if I wrote the story or if I created that character. And being able to get feedback from other people, which was an issue I had with when I was younger. Didn't like feedback from other people, but it's come easier now.
Yeah, sure, for sure. It's actually more rewarding than anything else sometimes when you get a little older, because yeah, it surprises you. Like someone the other day just told me that they saw one of these shows as I was leaving the office. She's our head receptionist, Val, and she said, "Oh my God, I saw that episode you did with Marvel." And she didn't use the first name because she didn't know who, but she said that young Hispanic girl, that was just a fantastic story. You've got to keep doing these. And I'm like, oh, well, okay, I will. But I didn't know she was watching, and I didn't know that she'd ever seen these shows, but that was so real and so honest and so unexpected that, yeah, it's more rewarding than you realize. And that's feedback, right? And if she had said,
Yes.
maybe even I would think to do this a little different or something, I would have loved to know that, because I think it just feels like you're connected. Somebody heard you, somebody saw you.
Yes.
So very cool. Well, I'm excited you're having that experience and desiring it, because it really is, more fun than just being in your comfort zone. And if you're listening, young people, sometimes it's good to be comfortable, like hanging out and having things you want. But sometimes people grow comfortable with not everything that they could do or have, right? So that's that comfort zone. It's a two-way street. You don't want to stay in there too long, because you could continue to push and do things that might require more of you, right? But lead to even more down the road. So I think that's what I'm jumping in and giving advice on this own interview show. But let's throw it back to you. What you talked about, the comfort zone. You talked about continuing to challenge yourself and step outside of what you might have not expected you like to do. What other advice would you give to some young people who are Kansas Cityans who are out there watching today that you think you might have needed to hear yourself when you were young, or you might think young people today could benefit from?
I would say to especially to all those getting ready to graduate from high school and go to college, or not go to college, because college isn't for everyone. Of course, I thought about dropping out a few times, but I was like, no, somebody has to be the first in my family to graduate. Why not me? So with that, I did get distracted a few times, but because I am an overachiever a little bit. But that's one of my regrets in college, was not staying as focused. Because when I graduated, my GPA was a 2.3, and I know I could have did better than that. So not being so hard on yourself to where you discourage yourself, but staying focused and understanding what the reasoning for you going to college is, which is the end goal to get a degree. And for those who are not going to college, what's your next path? Where is it? Whether it's to start a career, why do you want that career? And kind of make a vision board, which is what I've been doing since leaving Purcell, and which is what got me through Missouri Western. I will look at it every day, and that will keep my mind focused.
Very cool. Thank you. And a strategy, that's a good one. A vision board. I learned a weird strategy that I do, since you brought up a strategy, that actually has these 4 squares. I do this each week, and this is things I need to work on this week. These are things I need to accomplish maybe next week. This is information I'm still gathering that I don't know yet, that I need to know in order to go forward with something. And then this is way down the road, like dreams, goals, stuff that I want to make sure that I get to. I do this every Monday, and I make a new one, and I throw away the old one, and I see what carries over. And I learned that from a fella at a professional development conference. And at the time I was like, that sounds like a lot of work. But it's a cool, kind of like your vision board. It helps me stay aware of all the things I'm supposed to be doing well, and then set my sights on some stuff that I want to do, not for anybody else but me. Right. Mm-hmm. So solid advice, Mr. Tolliver. I appreciate you. I certainly remember, you were one of these people who are working on having wisdom, from your early days. And I remember hearing your wisdom back then. I'm hearing it now. So keep on that path, my friend. You're doing great things. And I do say, go get in some of these acting roles like you're talking about, right? You probably would fit into a lot of roles that people are starting to write that they might not have even just a few years ago, right? So get yourself in there. Start looking for some casting. Start practicing. I'd love to come see you in a production, and who knows, that I think that's likely. So
yeah, because I've played a lot of historical figures, I would say, from the most memorable character that I've played. Well, 2 memorable characters were Booker T. Washington in Ragtime, which is my favorite musical, and Mr. T in The Wedding Singer.
Oh, wow.
So those are 2 memorable characters that I played outside of those.
Very cool. All right. Well, if you're listening out there and you're looking for a young actor and putting a show, get a hold of me. I'll help you get a hold of Eric Tolliver, or I'm sure you can get a hold of him in all these modern ways we have these days. But it's been wonderful catching up with you, sir. I look forward to hearing more great things about you. Stay in touch. This has been another fantastic show on KCPS Homeroom here on Life After KCPS on these Real World Learning Fridays. I'm your host and have been so honored to have all of these wonderful conversations. If you're looking for more episodes like this, you might look on KCPS-TV, become a subscriber on our YouTube channel, and you'll find lots of Real World Learning Friday episodes just like this one. Thanks again, Eric, for being here this morning.
No problem.
You want to say anything last minute out there to Kansas City who might be listening today?
Stay encouraged during this pandemic.
Very good. You heard that, Kansas City. We're going to get there, and it's going to be all that work you put in, getting out there back into the city. It's going to feel so good. So we're signing off. Thanks again. Have a great day.
I chose manual because it's challenging and fun, and it can help me with college.
I chose manual because I wanted to get a jump start in my career with culinary arts.
I chose manual to acquire skills I'd use in real life.
I chose manual because I want to be an ER doctor, and being an EMT is my first step.
Kickstart your future today at Manual Career and Technical Center. Manual is open for all 11th and 12th grade students in both Kansas and Missouri. Learn more today at enrollkc.org/manual or call 816-418-5200.
The desire to create lives within each of us. From Grammy-winning producers and musicians, to NBA stars, to Navy admirals and Medal of Honor recipients, to internationally renowned artists, and beloved local muralists, Paseo graduates have been creating their own success, their own history, their own legacy since 1926. Now it's your time. Create your future at Paseo Academy of Fine and Performing Arts. Learn more at enrollkc.org/Paseo.
Good morning, Kansas City. Welcome to another wonderful Friday in our city today. On Fridays, we jump into what we call real world learning, and we're exploring today what life is like for some of our students after KCPS. I'm joined today by a fantastic person, and we're going to kind of explore her story. She also has birds, so if you hear some chirping, that's okay. We're going to go with the flow. There are birds in this interview. Who knows what they're telling us, but I'm excited. This will be the first time we've had birds in our interviews. So we're joined today by Angela McNeil. And from what I understand, she's out there like kind of internationally doing her thing and having some experiences that I can't wait to hear about. And so let's start there. Angela, will you tell us kind of what year did you graduate and what institution in our district did you attend? And then kind of remember for us, if you can, what happened after that?
Okay, I graduated in 2010. I went to Paseo High School, Performing Arts High School. And right after I graduated, I moved to New York literally the next day. And after that, so I moved to New York, and it was a bit much. Like, I feel like I'm pretty much an introvert, so I feel like New York definitely helped me change in a lot of ways, but it also made me uncomfortable in a lot of ways because it was forcing me to be social in ways that I didn't necessarily want to be or was ready for at the moment. But it allowed me to carry on with the things that I had been studying at Paseo because I was a dance major. And so I was able to kind of dive in directly to my career path, being that I left Paseo and went straight to the Big Apple with plenty of opportunity. So I felt like I had plenty to do, but my introvertedness was kind of I was in shock a lot, when it came to certain things, and I had to kind of get ready fast when it came to a lot of things socially.
I've only been to New York now twice in my life, but I know what you mean, the tempo and the pace, and if you go out on a street corner literally and don't know where you're going, you're going to get walked over by people who do know where they're going. Right. It's not like a Midwest, take your time, leisurely get places. People are in a hurry and busy, right?
Exactly.
Okay, so how long did you have an experience in New York?
So I moved to New York and I lived there for 6 or 7 years. And I lived in different places. Like first I lived in Manhattan, then I moved to Brooklyn. Then after Brooklyn, I came back to Kansas City for a little while, and then I moved to Harlem, and then I moved to the Bronx, the Bronx is where I probably spent most of my time. And honestly, that was probably my favorite borough, is the Bronx. I know a lot of people are like scared of the Bronx, or they've heard a lot of interesting things about the Bronx, but I felt like the people were really raw and honest. And I mean, I feel like that about most of New York anyway, like people are raw and honest, and most of my close friends are from New York. So I guess I appreciated it, and I really enjoyed the Bronx because, like, I mean, though it was kind of far away to get to the city and where I like a lot of the work where I need to go, I just appreciated it for its like rawness. And yeah, I would definitely say like those are the places that I stayed at while I was there, and Bronx was definitely my favorite place to be.
Cool. And so New York is, the place a lot of artists go to be challenged by like the top of the craft, and it's fashion industry. It's the place to be for lots of things. For the arts, it's the place to be for lots of things. What did you learn while you were there? I guess, did it influence your dance to go to these different boroughs and be part of dance related things?
So when I moved to New York, like originally, like I was you know about AMDA.
Yeah.
So I was originally like applying for AMDA. I got accepted into AMDA. I was like, okay, I'm gonna go to AMDA. I'm not saying this to discourage anyone from attending school in any way. I'm just saying like what worked for me. And I found that my path was like, okay, I'm kind of tired of like school.
Yeah.
So I decided not to go, and I decided to just kind of break into the industry. So I was fortunate enough to get hired on a big job that kind of like opened space for me. And I immediately got an agent. So I feel like my path was a bit different because I was able to get an agent so fast. So I was able to work professionally at a faster pace. So it kind of like took off after that. But sorry, what was your question again? I want to make sure I'm staying.
That's cool. I just know there's a lot of dance related folkloric value about New York, and like
yes,
b-boys and whatnot, and right. So like
yes,
some of that comes from New York, right?
Yes, which is what I want to get into. I feel like after I decided not to like attend AMDA and I decided to like dance professionally, I started street performing with some friends, which I definitely feel like changed me overall, because New York is a tough crowd. Mm-hmm. And if you can't impress New Yorkers, just forget about it. Like you can't impress anybody. Yeah. So New Yorkers are extremely honest, as I mentioned before. So me and my friends, we would street perform, and we would perform on the subways, we would perform on the streets. And it basically gave me a lot of experience entertaining people in different crowds of people, because you never know, you never get in the same audience. Mm-hmm. So it kind of taught me like how to like maneuver and adapt quickly. And I would definitely say like New York has taught me that. And it has affected my dance in that way of kind of knowing the audience, reading the room well, or the subway well, or wherever you are well, and kind of understanding as an entertainer what you need to do to kind of adapt to your space and what you need to bring to the space. Like you kind of learn how to control the environment.
Okay, that's fantastic. So the young people are listening. You're getting a lot of great suggestions about finding your path. And Angela's telling us the story of you got to get in there and get it if you want it, right?
Pretty much.
Will you help us know some of the things that you've been able to do on this path? Like, not that they just fell into your lap, but like, where has dance taken you in the last few years?
So I've traveled all over, like literally. When I think about Japan, I think about Taiwan. I've traveled to Taiwan, Japan, Korea, Singapore, Brazil, North America, all over Europe, Africa. I'm trying to think. I can't really, like, I've traveled a lot.
Sounds like it.
Trying to think of specific places, Peru,
So
Mexico.
what takes you to these places? Like
dance. So dance takes me to these places. I work internationally, and that's why I think it's really important. Like after a while, like domestically, it's great to work domestically. Obviously, like you're gaining experience, but working internationally is really good, because even in situations where there's a pandemic, like I'm still able to get work internationally. So even if things are slow in the States, like I'm still actively working elsewhere. So I'm not suffering, or it's like the pandemic doesn't hit me as hard, because I feel like when you're known as an international artist, other countries inquire you, so you're able to like keep work consistently. So I think that's why it's really important to become an international artist. And those weren't my intentions. My intentions were not to become an international artist, but I've learned that as I've become one, like the benefits of becoming an international artist.
For sure, the marketability for sure. Lots of people. Well, that's really amazing. I'm amazed of all the places you could list, because that sounds like a bucket list for someone's life, you know, like to be able to do that by the time that they're 75 years old, and you're not 75. So how do you now see the world? Like, that's what makes me, are you internationally minded? Like, you called the States North America, and I noticed that, and I'm like, that is so neat. So does it influence the way you see the whole world to have been to all these places?
Yes, it definitely has. And also like learning other languages. I speak French and Spanish as well. So it definitely like has allowed me to communicate when I go to these different countries, to kind of have a different mindset, because I know sometimes the Western world kind of sees things as they see it. But traveling to other places definitely has opened my mind, and learning new languages has definitely opened my mind. And that's also helped me to work with different organizations and different people, because I speak different languages. Wow. So that's definitely has definitely helped as well when it comes like the international part of being an artist, like going to these big places and being able to communicate properly and effectively to people who may not be able to speak English, or maybe if they do speak English, it's not like the way we speak English fluently. So it is also taught me like I have a lot to give, but I also have more to learn. So I feel like it's definitely opened my mind to what I need to learn, how I need to grow as a person, as an artist. And yeah, it definitely has changed me from traveling so much, for sure.
It's amazing. But when I think of, like, I live in Kansas City, have only lived in Kansas City, went to college in Kansas City, across the street from the high school that then I worked at for all these years. And now I'm working in the district office, and it's literally only 10 blocks from the high school I worked at for all those years. So like, yeah, my world is really small, and I'm so amazed to hear how much you've done in so little time, and how many places you've been to. I'm just amazed by it. I'm excited for you, you know, to have that experience and not wait for it at all. Let's retrace for a moment back to the days that I remember at Paseo. and we had this show called Coffee House, and people auditioned to get in. And I honestly remember you coming back after doing that show to see like a show later, like another class, another group, and you being a little critical, like, where'd all the talent go? But I honestly think what was your year? What year did you graduate?
2010.
There was something going on like in 08, 09, 10. There was a lot of collaboration, and a lot of people who were like, you danced to Robert Brown. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes,
I remember that piece, a poem dance combination that's still like probably one of the most mind-blowing parts that we remember seeing. So knowing that you did that back then, what does it feel like to still be doing things related to what you were finding when you were in high school?
It makes me feel like I made the right decision. Like I'm doing, like, because I never want to be in a situation where I'm picking a career path solely based on money. You know what I mean? And kind of being miserable. So it feels good to be able to know that I can like survive and financially be okay doing what I love to do. So when I think about moments like when I was back there, sorry about the dogs too, but I think
lots
about
of animals
how,
in this interview. There's birds and dogs now.
So I think about how like I made the right, it makes me feel good because it makes me feel like I made the right decision because I'm still doing what I love to do even after so many years, and I'm still in love with it, and I'm still finding ways to learn and grow in my craft, and I'm still as obsessed with it just as I was in high school when I was around like other artists and we would collaborate and do other things. So it feels good to know that I made the right decision. I feel like that's ultimately how I feel.
Very cool. Well, thank you so much for sharing this. Let's find out like goals for you. Where are you going with this? Where do you want to go with this? You've done so much, but like, do you have a next move or a next goal in place?
Yeah, so I want to help other students and the youth internationally. So I feel like that's kind of where I'm like starting to go now, as well as like kind of pushing myself to be uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm. We lost your video for a second. Now you're back. Okay, now you're gone. That's all right. Let's see if we get you back here for just one more thing, and then you can give us some closing ideas.
No worries. It's my niece, my 5-year-old niece is calling me. She likes to call me sometimes.
Awesome.
So I'm definitely, oh my gosh.
There she is again. Tell her just a minute. We'll be
right
with you.
So I would definitely.
No harm.
Oh
this is a real interview, guys. There are dogs. There are birds.
You can listen.
And
like
others a niece. So you know we're in the real world context.
It doesn't matter. Listen, like you can tell your 5-year-old niece that you have to work and you have to do something. That doesn't matter to her. She's like, listen, this is my aunt. I want to talk to my aunt, so I'm going to call her.
Well, this makes it Real World Friday, right? This also does make it Real World Friday. Life doesn't wait for you to have an interview.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't.
Very good. So on that note, let's bring it to a close. Even though I really always hate to bring it to a close because
no, we don't have to. I can answer these couple of questions. It's fine.
No. Okay, but so on kind of the last thing that we would ask you to think through for our young people out there, and anything else you want to add, don't let me shut you off, is what you think they need to hear right now that might get them to where you are or might help them feel the courage to take a chance or something like that?
I would say no matter what background you're from, because I feel like people look at me now and they're like, oh my gosh, you must have had the best support system. You must have had the best background, but that was actually not the case at all. I lived in the inner city, which was extremely tough and rough. And even now, like I purchased a home in the inner city because I never wanted to forget where I come from. But I would definitely say like, no matter what your environment is, and no matter like the things that you experience, whether it be abuse and all of these other things that you have to go through in your household, like don't allow that to stop you from getting ahead in every way. And I think that's like, because it's really important to like, you can be in your environment, but don't mentally become a part of your environment and allow it to kind of pull you back. And I think that's extremely important, especially for some of the kids that like I even went to school with and I even get to experience time with. So I would definitely say that. And I would say like the time is now, like you don't need to wait and don't allow like fear to hold you back, because I remember feeling intimidated because I didn't have this and this like other people had. And I felt like intimidated and I felt like, okay, maybe I'm not going to get this opportunity because I'm not fully prepared like everyone else, but I had something that they didn't have. And that's enough. So I would definitely like want to tell them, like, I know maybe it sounds cliche, maybe it doesn't, but like literally don't allow any of that to hold you back and go after it 100%.
Absolutely. Not cliche at all when it's real. Even when you say a cliche about something that's so real, it's still real to me. And I think that's so important. Sometimes why things become cliche is because we keep going back to them like they're that important, you know, and
that's true. That's true.
It's tread on for a reason. And I appreciate your advice to young people. I think it's why we're making these shows. And you're listening out there and you think, yeah, you know what? That gives me some inspiration. That gives me an idea. Follow it, follow it. You never know. In the next few years, you're doing it instead of just thinking about it. So I appreciate you so much, Angela. Is there anything else you want to go out telling Kansas City or telling I guess telling Kansas City. We don't know. There's all of Kansas City watching. What's something you would tell Kansas City about what you want them to hear?
Kansas City, for sure. I wish things would change, like when it comes to like violence and the things that are going on in Kansas City. Hopefully that can change, but it'll only change if we come together and kind of make a change. So I would say to Kansas City, like, let's create change within our own city. Apparently the birds want to say something too.
They're all into it. They're like, yes, that's what we're gonna do.
But no, I would definitely say like we are responsible for our city, and more than ever we need to come together to create safe environments for everybody, rather it be the elderly or the young, the youth. Everybody deserves to have a healthy environment to live in and a place to create and feel safe. So it's up to us, and it's time for us to like create that. So I would definitely say that.
Awesome. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this morning. I certainly have, Kansas City. This has been another wonderful Friday episode of Real World Learning on KCPS. We're investigating what life is like after KCPS. And if you've been watching any of these episodes, you've heard some really good examples. We're also sharing this message because not everybody that thinks about Kansas City Public Schools thinks about positive messages about success. And there are too few of those examples sometimes put back in the eyes and ears of our own students. So I'm excited to have developed this little interview show and named it and worked on making it happen, because that's just a small way that I can be involved in helping other people hear what KC Public School students do. I'm also one, and I graduated from this district in 1996, and I've been working here for a long time, and I'm very proud of that. So I appreciate hearing other people who are also proud to come from our schools, and I think that's what we need to continue to circulate, is that message. So if you're listening and you're like, hey, I'm proud to come from KCPS too, email me. My name's Chris Odom at kansascitypublicschools.org. And you might find yourself in this very situation talking to me on live TV for a few minutes. So, Angela, I'll let you know when this airs. It'll be on 38th The Spot on a Friday morning. And we love having that time slot. But also, if you're watching these interviews, there's a lot of them on our KCPS-TV YouTube channel that if you simply subscribe, then you'll see all these other interviews that are available. And I would love it that Angela, you could watch the interviews I've done with other people that you might have known, and they're going to watch the interviews about you. So start spreading these stories around, and then eventually I would love to have an event in Kansas City where we get everybody back together. So just watch for that announcement, and let's look for it. I think we'd make it a fundraiser. We'd find a way to make it a hot ticket in the city. I've already got a title. It's called Coffee House Reheated. Nice. And I think it should be on Vine. Nice. So, right? I think it could happen. So if you're interested, I will call upon thee in the future. And we could do some more collabos that just blow people's minds. So Angela, thank you so much for being here. You're a fond memory of working at Paseo, in that you were very professional in high school. So I'm excited to hear that professional is still a category that we attach to you, and you're out there dancing for a living. So
thank you. And I want to say to you, thank you so much for allowing a safe place for a student to be able to express themselves, because like that was really important for us. So I want to say thank you, Mr. Odom, for doing that for so many students, no matter what their major was. I feel like people could come to you and kind of express themselves and have the freedom to be able to like express their art. So I really, really, really want to say thank you. Thank you for that. And I appreciate it from the bottom of my heart.
Oh, so nice to hear it, and appreciate it, because it was the most important thing to me during all that time. And to look back on it and know that we did 15 years of shows, sometimes twice a year. And there's no end to the people I could interview now.
Right.
So after this call, let me know some names of some people you think we should talk to, and we'll just keep doing this and keep circulating this message. But thank you so much, KC. Thank you to our wonderful participant, Angela, today. And we're saying peace out for this Friday.
Bye.
Kindergarten is great at Kansas City Public Schools.
I know they have really good teachers. I know this is a great school.
They teach them stuff that I thought my kids would never be able to know at the age of 5.
Since deciding to send our kiddos to a neighborhood school, we've become even more of a part of our community.
Now is the time to enroll your future kindergartner for the new school year. Visit enrollkc.org today.
I chose manual because it's challenging and fun, and it can help me with college.
I chose manual because I wanted to get a jump start in my career with culinary arts.
I chose manual to acquire skills I'd use in real life.
I chose manual because I want to be an ER doctor, and being an EMT is my first step.
Kickstart your future today at Manual Career and Technical Center. Manual is open for all 11th and 12th grade students in both Kansas and Missouri. Learn more today at enrollkc.org/manual or call 816-418-5200.
The desire to create lives within each of us. From Grammy-winning producers and musicians, to NBA stars, to Navy admirals and Medal of Honor recipients, to internationally renowned artists, and beloved local muralists, Paseo graduates have been creating their own success, their own history, their own legacy since 1926. Now it's your time. Create your future at Paseo Academy of Fine and Performing Arts. Learn more at enrollkc.org/Paseo.
I love Southeast because of the culture, the band program, and restorative justice.
I love Southeast because of the academics, sports, and students.
I love Southeast because of the people, the energy, and the advanced classes.
It's not alike. I love Southeast because the students here at Southeast are full of potential and they believe in achieving anything.
We are Southeast.
Southeast.
We stand shoulder to shoulder.
Join the Southeast family. Enroll today.